Videos to the 1 year anniversary, 2. Can we make it to 4,000 subs by the end of the week? We are so close, it's going to come down to the wire. Please keep liking and sharing these videos and we might just pull this off. Also, if you didn't know, there was a bonus video I did just yesterday. That's right, you are getting 4 videos this week, you lucky people. So it's time to look at the last deluxe of Kingdom Wave 3. There's still a Rodimus I need to get a hold of, but this is basically wrapping up Kingdom's third but not quite final wave. And if you've watched my channel, you know that I've given Kingdom Scorponok a lot of crap for just how bad it looks. Like, every damn picture of this thing just made me not want it more than the last. And now I have this thing in hand. Holy crap! This thing looks so much better in person. It's not good, but it's barely bad, and I was preparing myself for awful, so this is actually a really pleasant surprise. This thing is like the dead inverse of the Kingdom Rhinox, who I didn't realize was going to be as hideous as it was till I had it in hand. I was sure this thing was going to be the ugliest possible damn thing, but it's like at least passable. The chest looks much less like a slab than I thought it was going to, the body is a bit more proportionate, the arms are for the most part pretty good, though the claws are goofily big, and while the curved nature of them does still annoy me, they are nowhere near the deal breaker I thought they were going to be. I mean, every detail on this is still wrong. His chest is still a perfect square, his shoulder pads are the wrong shape, his claws make his arms too long, his legs are too short, but actually not as short as they kind of look. All his little accent pieces seem like they were made by someone who never actually seen what Scorponok looked like and had only ever been told by someone with a pretty good recollection. If you've ever seen one of those old drawings of alligators by artists who didn't know what one was supposed to look like and were only going off other people's stories, so the gators had like ears and just looked off, this feels like that. I especially don't understand why he has the square ribbed legs. That's both not part of his original design, and it's not part of this one either. Seriously, this thing's upper thighs clash with its own aesthetic so much it's like they were off a different figure. This has probably one of the worst backpacks I've ever seen. It's absolutely just a parts explosion, and this thing kind of has no reasonable justification for it. This thing is already too cheap, and they just got lazy with the backpack. Head sculpt on this guy is weirdly sloped and chimp-like. In person, it looks more like the character than I expected it to, by a good margin to be fair, but it's still pretty off-feeling. And it's relatively ugly. Not that he's supposed to be all that good-looking, but this exaggerated chin bothers me, and what actually gets my goat the most is the tiny weird mouth that's pointing upwards. I mean, what's going on with that? So this is not the cancerous tragedy I was expecting, but it's still not exactly doing well. It's a total mess, and it doesn't even have the decency to be big, which the original toy was. No, this thing is only barely bigger than the Transform Element, who is supposed to be a legend scale figure. Putting these two standing next to each other, and you just kind of get a sense of how unequal their quality is. One of these is more accurate than the other, and also way prettier. I have to point out that this one is bigger in literally every dimension, and yet he's also lighter, which like I said before is a bit unfair because this one is faking it by having die-cast legs, but that does help him stand because he's so back-heavy with this very long tail. Which you can't say the same for the Kingdom, who likes to topple over because while he's bigger, he has feet exactly the same size as the Transform Element. So yeah, on looks, this guy ain't exactly crushing it, and on accessories, he's falling even further short. He's got this anorexic cyber bee, and I hate the looks of this thing. Reminds me of something from Alien, like either a part of the weird ship or like a baby xenomorph. Like a chestburster, not a facehugger. But this thing doesn't hold a candle to the missiles, which are even dumber looking. These are 2 parts molded as one on 1 peg, and they look so fucking silly. These look so dumb, god I hate them. Oh, and for some reason, despite how small these already are, they don't look good from one direction because they didn't bother to fill these side holes. Transform elements may not detach, but look how much better they are. These are unacceptable. Posability on this guy is very strange. Head has extremely restricted range, basically only swiveling. Tail's really not going to get you anything in this mode. Shoulders possibly have the most up range of any figure ever. Elbows pull a fair amount less than a 90. Rotation at the wrist and the claw opens, but there's a good chance they pop off. If you open him up at the chest, which I find to be endlessly difficult, you can actually get an ab crunch out of him. It's not a ton, and this is technically untransforming him, so it might not count to some people, but I'll say that it counts for me. He does have a waist swivel, unlike the Transform Element, so I guess he does get at least 1 point up over the TE. Knees that bend over a 90, and so I guess that's 0.2 in its favor. And feet with plenty of swivel, but only one of them has a toe down. So yeah, this guy is really weird on the posing front. He's so inconsistent. Some things are way better than normal, some of them are terrible, and some of his posing is asymmetrical. So it's kind of hard to rate how this poses. I want to say that his articulation averages out to be normal, but his oversized hands get in the way, and despite his extreme range in some areas, the proportions as well as the difficulty this figure has standing just kind of kneecaps him. Ultimately, I'm going to have to rate him as slightly below average on the posing. Transformation sucks though. This is a garbage tier transformation, just dog shit. It barely does anything, it's more of just kind of pretending to transform as he hangs his head in shame. It's weirdly asymmetrical in multiple ways, a lot of it just doesn't have the clearances it should, or it just doesn't want to move in general, and some of it has to uncomfortably flex the plastic to get where it needs to go, and I've never seen a figure that ends up with an undercarriage like this. It's just bullshit. And so is the Scorpion mode, which has had a lot of dirty photography tricks done to trick you into thinking this looks good. Because if you only take pictures from overhead, and this probably looks fine. But then you look at it from the side and just realize that it's absolutely resting on the entire robot mode that's crumpled up into a ball under it. And then you flip it over and realize that it's even worse than you had imagined. Yes, no really, his head doesn't flip any further away, it's just kind of sitting there hoping you don't notice. His leg is just kind of bent across his chest, nothing locks into place, and this is really as close as it gets. You can see that there is a cutout in the lower chest that is designed to conform to the sides of the leg, and this really is where it's supposed to rest. This is just so lazy and unsatisfying and wrong feeling. The Scorpion looks fine, I guess, if you are only paying attention to the top. I'm not gonna beat around the bush, I hate this mode. I fucking hate this mode. Like if this weren't just floating on a boat of underside kibble, I would have said this is fine. But this is the laziest and lamest thing. And the posability also fucking sucks too. The arms should mostly be the same, but they are a lot more restricted than before by the nature of them dragging on the floor. The bug legs are literal trash. Not only do they pose for crap with them being all on the same hinge that doesn't really go anywhere, even Black Arachnia had more range on hers, but these things can barely reach the ground and the legs just pop off all the time. The first time I transformed this thing, every single leg fell off of it. And you know that stinging action the product photography shows off for this guy? Yeah, that's bullshit. This tail only has this much range, and you can untransform it to get it this far, and you can double down untransform it to get it this far, and this really stretches the limit of what level of cheating I'm willing to put up with to get a pose. It feels terrible to do, not the least of its problems being how damaging it feels to separate the leg from the tail because of how fucking stupid the design is, but it also just looks fucking awful from any angle. This figure sucks. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, but in some ways it's a lot worse. Because I didn't think the alt mode was going to be flat garbage. I was going to save these thoughts till I reviewed every figure in Wave 3, but I feel justified at this point that saying Wave 3 sucks. Wave 3 of Kingdom is not the least good wave of Kingdom, it is a bad wave, dragging down what was a really good line. Everything is as small and cheap and crappy and ugly as they could get away with. Rhinox is hideous and sucks in just about every conceivable way, with one of the worst transformations I've seen since starting this channel. They re-released Earthrise Wheeljack, no one asked for that. Wingfinger is a thoroughly mediocre weaponizer who at least has more pros than cons, and the cons aren't very big. Trax is just a tragedy of bad tolerances and poor design decisions dragging down a mostly okay figure. And this is not a complete and utter waste of money, but it has no business being $25, and I don't recommend you spend your cash on this. If the transform element comes back in stock, buy that if you really need a Scorponok. Less than twice the price gets you like 10 times the value here. But now it's time for the monthly shoutouts that should have actually happened 3 days ago. Sorry about that, everyone, and sorry to the one person whose birthday was actually on the 1st when I should have gotten this out. I just completely forgot about this until after the video was uploading. That was my mistake. If you want to shout out yourself, all you need to do is please just email me at perspectiveandshoutouts@gmail.com. And if you want your channel to be included in the shoutout, then please include a link to your YouTube page as well as a screenshot of your channel banner, and please describe your channel as well, as oftentimes I have a hard time discerning what your channel is about without being told. But if you just want to hear me say your account name or get a happy birthday, I will be happy to do that in these shoutouts. Go check out Cyclonus Prime. He's a customizer and photographer. He does really great work and seems to be more active on Instagram. Derbs wants me to shout out their Facebook group, Collection Watch, as well as Comic Watch, whom he runs the social media for. An awesome guy who set about giving me a shout out before I ever gave one to him. What's up to KR Brickbot? Or is that supposed to be pronounced Korea Brickbot? He's a reviewer with a different perspective coming from his homeland across the sea. Across from me, at least. Now, the most important thing I have to say in this entire video. Erectus Defectus. TransformerDeskReviews, a new toy review channel with only 7 subs. He started like 3 months ago and already has like 30 videos, so that's a pretty solid rate of upload, my guy. NickBricks88. He makes videos about building and painting Legos, mainly Transformers related stuff, but he plans on expanding his content soon, so beware. Maxtube444, a growing channel who makes animations, not stop motions. Impossible, I know, as well as memes. I also know that he's working on some special 3D printed projects. 45 Designs. Not quite sure what his channel will be about, but he's got a teaser out on how he's making a Bumblebee fan film. Udon173. He makes Binding of Isaac content, as well as from time to time producing Transformers stop motions. Wow, how did it take this long to get to a stop motion animator in here? Skybolt makes Transformers memes on TikTok. He's a stop motion animator. Okay, yeah, this is more like the usual. Grimlock face posting? How would you say this part out loud? He makes Transformers memes on Instagram. BrickbuiltDengar is writing reviews for Hasbro on BigComicPage.com. Go check them out. You can search their name on the site and find their articles. I'm the first person who ChristmasWolf9323 has ever subscribed to. They want everyone to know that they are available for voice work. Contact them from Discord if you are looking for voice actors. Dr. Shovelman. He makes funny stop motions. Fledgling reviewer Chase Arft needs your subs. He's got a consistent release schedule and is mostly covering Siege so far. Super Robot Ed. He talks Transformers, super robots, and live streams games. Megatronus Primal. Longtime fan wants you to check out his YouTube and join his Discord channel. Happy birthday to Uchimi1010. Sorry this is later than it should have been, man. He makes discussions about Transformers and memes. Cole Hydro. He makes reviews and skits in stop motion, but his videos seem to be gone. I hope you're doing okay, man. Air Filter Child. I feel like it's illegal to use children for that. Happy birthday to Mew152. Sorry this wasn't more on time, that was my bad. Silvestre Jojo wants me to shout out his eclectic joke channel where he makes parodies of film trailers and other random bullshit with inside jokes he says may only make sense if you're from the Philippines. But he still wants you to check him out no matter what. His channel is something to behold. In just a few weeks, Nathan Schultz gets a year older. Happy birthday on the 20th, my guy. Happy birthday to Sinova the Gamin Turtle. They make gaming videos and want to hear what you think they could do to improve their latest video, or what you liked about it, so long as it might help them produce better videos in the future. Personally, I think you ran the Filthy Frank clip for too long, and when it was there, I could only pay attention to him and not the rest of your video. Lboy28 has recently rebranded his channel to a gaming one, so go check that out. Where are all the stop motion animators? This is so weird! The Soundwave and Shockwave show is making reviews and stop motions. I feel like they can hear me. They are hiding till I notice their lack of presence and they pop out when I least expect it. King Kyle 5 is making art and writing fanfics about Five Nights at Freddy's, Transformers, and sometimes they cross over on DeviantArt. And that's not half of what I have to say, but it's enough of what I have to say. And I know you know what everyone else tells you to do at the end of these videos. So, if you liked what you saw here, please do that. And if you'd like to take it a step further, then please share this video with any friend you think may be interested. I hope you all enjoyed listening to me waste your time.